हेलो। हेलो। आवाज आ रही है? ठीक है। अदनान भाई, ज़रा आप प्रेजेंटेशन शेयर करें ना, मैं ज़रा चेक करूँ यहाँ से कि किस तरह का कंट्रोल होगा मेरे पास।
शेयर आप करें ना प्रेजेंटेशन। मेरे पास प्रेजेंटेशन आपके पास नहीं है, मैं आपको इधर राइट देता हूँ। यही ले जी। अब आप
अच्छा।
करें शेयर।
um,
हेलो।
चैट, हाँ जी, मैं कह रहा हूँ शेयर।
हाँ,
कंटिन्यू। और इसमें एक बैकग्राउंड पे खोल दूँ ज़रा।
चीजें अपनी वहाँ पर हैं। Yes.
योर स्क्रीन शेयरिंग इज पॉज्ड।
पोस्ट इंटरनेट डिटेल्स आ गई आपकी। इंटरनेट नहीं ठीक होगा।
स्क्रीन शेयर हो रही है?
जी आ गई।
अच्छा, एक मिनट। ठीक हो गया। मेरी अब ऑडियो आप तक आ रही होगी, और क्या कहते हैं, स्क्रीन डिस्प्ले हो रहा है। ठीक।
जी ठीक हो गया।
सो फार सो गुड। ठीक है।
मैं
Assalamualaikum everyone. We are just going to begin in like good 5 minutes. Thank you. All of our panelists has joined already. So participants are still joining. We'll wait for like good 1 minute and then we'll begin the session. Thank you.
Amna, can you hear, Fatma, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
You're
fine.
on.
Thank you. Thank you.
So welcome everyone to this training session on empowering SMEs training on reducing industrial trans fatty acids in Pakistan. Today, we all are here to empower small and medium-sized enterprises by providing essential knowledge and practical guidance on how to reduce ITFA in their products. Our session will begin with the opening remarks by country lead Kargil. Then we will cover the health risks associated with ITFA, the regulatory frameworks in place, strategies for compliance, and practical steps for accurate product labeling. By the end of this training, we will be able to equip you with the tools and understanding needed to make meaningful changes that can improve public health and ensure regulatory compliance. Next slide, please. So before we begin this session, let me introduce you to SDPI, Sustainable Development Policy Institute, was established in 1992 and has since become a leading policy research institute in Pakistan. So SDPI's mission is to catalyze the transition towards sustainable development by providing comprehensive research, policy advice, and advocacy across various domains, including health, education, environment, climate, economic policy. Our work is driven by a commitment to informed policy making that supports sustainable development goals. Today, we continue to play a major role in addressing critical issue ITFA reduction, aiming to improve public health outcomes and promote sustainable practices within the food industry. Next slide, please. So basically, we have a program by the name of Reducing Industrial Trans Fatty Acids in Pakistan. So this program has three main objectives: to increase policy engagement and public awareness about health risks associated with industrial trans fatty acids, to encourage the food industry to reformulate their products, reduce or eliminate these harmful fats, and to advocate for policies and regulations that promote the reduction of ITFA. The health impact of high ITFA consumption are severe, including an increased risk of heart diseases, diabetes, and others. Research has shown that reducing ITFA to WHO recommended level could prevent approximately 15,000 deaths per year in Pakistan, highlighting the critical importance of this initiative. Through this program, we are aiming to make significant strides in public health by reducing consumption of these harmful trans fats. Next slide, please. So the main key activities will be, we have already conducted a review of ITFA levels and their health impacts. We have published a policy review. If anyone wants that, we can just email us. We can share that with you as well. And this provides a solid foundation for informed policy making, public awareness campaigns. And we are developing and implementing awareness campaign aimed at policymakers and the public to educate them about the dangers of ITFA. We are hosting different seminars, meetings, and webinars for the advocacy and letting the people know the harmful effects of ITFA and how businesses can reformulate their products. Next slide, please. So I will like to introduce Mr. Muhammad Salman, the country lead for Kargil, Pakistan. He is a highly accomplished leader with extensive experience in the food and agriculture industry. His background includes significant expertise in business strategy, market development, stakeholder engagement, making him an invaluable asset to Kargil's operation in Pakistan. So Kargil has seen substantial growth and has made significant contribution under his leadership. So I would now invite Mr. Muhammad Salman to share his remarks and provide us with valuable insights on the importance of this initiative. Over to you, Mr. Salman. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatma. I hope I'm audible now.
Yes, sir, you are audible. Please.
Perfect. Thank you, Fatma. So first of all, again, thanks, Fatma, for setting the stage. I'll try my best and keep it short so we can get to the interesting part of this event quickly. Just a quick introduction. I've been with Kargil for just over 2 years. I've spent most of my life setting up businesses in Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Kenya, mostly in nutrition businesses. My previous role in Kargil was protecting there and investing in Kargil activities in Southeast and Southeast Asia. But very recently, I took over Pakistan as a country lead, which sadly means I have two bosses, which is less than ideal, but that's the way life has turned out for me. I would really love to start by thanking STPI for taking a leadership role in this policy development initiative. It's only a matter of time when this policy is implemented and will impact everyone in Pakistan for generations to come. And I'm sure a large majority of our population will never know the role STPI really played in making our lives healthier. So in a way, it's a thankless job. So let me first, on behalf of everyone, allow me to thank STPI for this initiative, which will definitely transform our future. All of us here today, in my view, have the same shared vision to make lives of our fellow countrymen better. This shared vision of helping communities thrive is at the core of everything that Kargil does. So just to give you a brief background on what we have done in the last 35 years, we announced our commitment to remove ITFAs from our fats and oils portfolio in December 2021. But that announcement was backed by decades of work. So we literally started this journey about 32 years ago, which involved innovation, investments in capital expenses, and thousands of R&D hours. And during these 30 years, just to provide some context, Cargill has helped more than 400 global customers to create, yes, nutritious and healthier products, but they were tasty as well. So we believe that it can be done here in Pakistan as well. I am also very proud to be able to claim that as of January 1st this year, every Cargill food customer, no matter where they are, can be confident that Cargill complies with the World Health Organization's recommended tolerance levels. We are the first global supplier whose entire edible portfolio is compliant with WHO standards. Even in a country like Pakistan, where we, as of today, don't have any legislative mandate to do so. And to show our commitment, we also stopped all our business streams in Pakistan, which were involved in oil or fats businesses. And we are working with local partners to find a solution which makes our local business compliant as well. Coming to the event today, I think we are in a company of a stellar lineup of subject matter experts who will educate us on understanding the health risks, regulatory environment, and labeling. This labeling initiative, by the way, it's very close to my heart. That's how policymakers and industry has a very honest conversation with the end consumer. And sooner we achieve it, probably the better. And just to again give some context here, labeling laws were in place in US since 2006. And the first time FDA asked the companies to comply with limiting the TFAs was in 2013, and they gave them time till 2016. So it was good 10 years before anything happened that there was an honest conversation going on between the industry and the consumer. I am also excited, like everybody else, to understand more about ITFAs from this great panel of people that we have here today. And I'm sure that this will be time well spent. And all of us hopefully will come out of the other side with more answers than questions. So I think if I understand the agenda correctly, Mr. Yahya Gulrez will talk on the training objectives and agenda. Over to you, sir.
So, am I audible?
Yes, you are. You are good to go, please.
So in brief, I'll explain the purpose of the workshop. Basically, the purpose of the workshop is to facilitate the SMEs in the food industry to understand the health risk associated with ITFA while exploring the product reformulation and its alternatives. The goal is to ensure compliance with ITFA standard and promoting healthier food supply in Pakistan. Our esteemed speaker will further elaborate us on the topic at hand. Joining us today is Dr. Razia, our Senior Policy Advisor at STPI, who will elaborate us on ITFA sources and health risk associated to it. Dr. Tahira Siddiqui, Deputy Director at Islamabad Food Authority, will shed the light on national and international regulations on ITFA content. Joining us today from University of Karachi, Dr. Syed Mohammed. He is an active member of PSQCA Standard Technical Committee. Considering his expertise, he will elaborate us on research findings on ITFA-free alternatives and product reformulation. From Punjab Food Authority, Ms. Farah Atal, Deputy Director Standard and Accreditation, will briefly discuss the importance of labeling and its significance in ITFA regulations. Lastly, from R&D of Punjab Oil Mills, Dr. Ghulam Hussain will share the contributions of Punjab Oils and their efforts to limit ITFA in Pakistan. So over to you, Dr. Razia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fatma, Yahya, and Mr. Salman for elaborating on this topic. So, am I audible clearly? Or?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay, okay, fine. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Yahya, for giving me this opportunity to talk somewhat about the health impacts, which is very much important to when we start the awareness campaigns or when we want to get the have the response from the demand side. At that time, these are the facts which needs to be known by the people who can respond to these policies. So, so I think in the interest of the time, I will not talk much more about how we made the policy and what is the. So I will just talk about the health impacts. So next slide, please. So as we all know that our fat components of our diets in everywhere as three main components of the diet. For example, the carbohydrates, mainly proteins, and the fats. So the recommendation of the intake of the fats, the general fat, is like for men it is less than 30 grams per day of fat, and for the woman it is less than 20 grams per day. So there are different types of fat which we consume during our which are used for the preparation of the food, as well as they are in different components of the food. They are already present, so either from the plant sources or from the animal sources. So chemically, we can divide them into the monounsaturated fats, polyunsaturated fats, which we get from the other sources, because these are not produced in the body. So they are required, and these are the healthy fats, and the saturated and the trans fats, which we are talking about. So these are the different sources. Like for the from the plant, we have vegetable oils from the nuts, seeds, and many olive, canola, sunflower, peanut, coconut. Many of these oil seeds, seed oils, they are rich in trans fats. And some of them are obviously the healthy ones, that they have the omega-3, and the other one are with the omega-6. And we have the animal sources, like for example, the red meat or these saturated, these are basically the saturated fats. And they are solid at the room temperature. So we are concerned with this. They have different quantities of the TFAs and the TFAs, as well as saturated fats, which are difficult to consume by to assimilate, as well as they produce certain components which can affect the human health. Please, next slide. So what is the industrially produced trans fatty acids? Industrially trans fatty acids are produced basically the partial hydrogenation of the oils, which can be vegetable oil. And these are artificially produced trans fats, which are unsaturated. And this partial hydrogenation leads to the liquidation, solidification of the liquid vegetable oil, which gives it like a food product, a desirable taste, which is very liked by the Southeast Asians, basically, Southeast Asia. It's a shape, texture, and a longer shelf life. So this process is happening in this part of the world. So next slide, please. So some of the examples are like, for example, the shortenings, which are used for the bakery products, and the margarine, banaspati, ghee, and many of these frozen products also has these trans fatty acid, industry produced trans fatty acids. Next slide, please. Next. Yeah, so why we are talking about these? So before I talk particularly about the ITFA effects on the health, I would like to go through this public health crisis in Pakistan, which is one of them. The biggest one is the population growth. We are a large country. We have 225 million population, 2.5% of the growth rate, and about 3.6% total fertility rate, which is persistent for the last 15 years. And the more adding the population, more the food insecurity, and more the quality of the diets are reduced. So these are these are the three components, three major crisis in Pakistan. Like, for example, the mother and child health is in crisis, communicable diseases, and for our interest is the non-communicable diseases. So the non-communicable diseases, for example, the diabetes, every fourth person in Pakistan is having the type 2 diabetes, and every third adult more than 45 years has high blood pressure. And the mental health is also, which is like every fourth mother. These are very worrisome figures, but these are the facts. And the good thing is that most of these diseases are preventable either by intervention in skill development, in immunization, or by reducing the risk factors for the non-communicable diseases. Next slide, please. So if we look at the cause of death, in premature death in Pakistan, the ischemic heart disease is the most common, like the second common cause of the death, and the stroke is the sixth one. And these are related. These are the two non-communicable diseases which are related to the risk, which has the direct risk factors. Many of them are environmental, biological, or some genetic also. So if we look at these risk factors, like, for example, these disease, all diseases has some risk factors, and these if we continue, for example, first one is the malnutrition, then air pollution, high blood pressure, then tobacco, and then the dietary risk. Fifth one is the dietary risks, and the ITFA is one of the dietary risk factor which we are talking about. And related to that is the high LDL cholesterol, which is the low density lipoprotein, which predispose to the many non-communicable diseases. These are the figures by calculated by the Institute of Health Metrics and Health Metrics and Evaluation, which is an international database and analysis. And 2019, they have calculated about all the countries for the according the causes of death and the premature deaths incidents by the risk factors. Next slide, please. So the non-communicable, we can divide into five broader types. For example, these are the cardiovascular diseases, neoplasias or the cancers, and diabetes, chronic kidney disease, mental disorders, and the chronic respiratory diseases. Why we are? Because these are the diseases which goes lifelong, and also they not only they cause the premature death, but also they really affect on the economic contribution of the individual towards the economy of the country, as well as they really inhibit the quality of life, is also very badly affected. Next, please. So this is an overview of Pakistan's causes of death. For if you look at the 2005, The deaths due to the non-communicable diseases was 42.01%. And this blue bar is the non-communicable diseases, and the yellow bar is the communicable diseases. So, but now it is 55.31, around 10%, more than 10% is increased in 2019. The deaths are due to the non-communicable diseases. Next slide, please. So this is the regional, for example, with the, if we compare at the neighboring countries, the non-communicable diseases in Pakistan, 55.3% of the deaths are due to the non-communicable diseases, and but the India, Sri Lanka, Iran. This is this I'm showing because these all countries have the same type of the diets, as well as the same type of same consumption of ITFAs or the fats, which these diets are very rich in fats in these countries. Next, please. And provincial wise, the Islamabad and AJK are higher, and then the Punjab, because of the lifestyle as well as the consumption of high. I think the diet is also the same in these areas. Next, please. Yeah, so as I mentioned that the risk factors for these, there are the particular risk factors for these non-communicable diseases, and dietary risk factor is one of them. So the ITFA is a risk factor for non-communicable diseases, and according to the WHO level, any diet which is containing more than 2% of the fat in the diet, in the daily consumption, that can lead to the increase in the mortality due to the ischemic heart disease or any non-communicable diseases, which I have mentioned already. Next, please. So these dietary risk factors, if we take, this can be low in content of certain diets, diet components, like for example, fruits, legumes, nuts, calcium. They can also lead to the certain diseases and certain, for example, the malnutrition, and the diet high in different components, that they can also lead to the non-communicable diseases or any other diseases also. Next, please. And one of this is trans fatty acids production during the that is the generation of trans fatty acids during the cooking of the fats. That is very common in Pakistan as well as in this area, because while we are cooking the food with the high content of the fat, and we are reusing these oils, that also produces the trans fatty acids, and which are harmful to the health. In Pakistan, the trans fat intake is 6%. And this is the second highest in the WHO EMRO region after the Egypt. Egypt is the highest consumer of the trans fats, and the high content of the trans fats is one of the NCDs contributing dietary risk factor. 58% of the deaths due to the like dietary risk factors are due to the 58% of the deaths, and then the eliminate the trans fatty acids from the global food supply is the cost we have to be careful about, because the diabetes is the lifelong disease and it is the when the end organs are damaged, so one cannot do anything about that. So prevention is better. So please next. So then the cancer and the Alzheimer's dementia, which is like very increasingly in Pakistan as well as in the world also. And that is it is known that this dietary ITFA is also predisposing to the dementia. Next, please. And how basically I have explained it earlier also, because basically what it does, it increases the low density lipoproteins, which are heavy and which deposits in the blood vessels, and the blood supply to the all the organs, which are end organs, are reduced and leads to the, and also it decreases the high density lipoproteins, which are basically good proteins, and they can protect the human body from the ischemic heart disease as well as the obesity, diabetes. Next, please. So this is an international study. I'm just showing it that when these are the first 15 countries, which are 80% of the deaths are occurring in these countries, first 15 countries, and the Pakistan is one of them. So the intervention in these 15 countries can reduce the deaths which are causing the 80% of the deaths. Next, please. And what the WHO has done in 2018, the first they called for the global elimination of the industry-produced trans fatty acids and set the elimination targets. And the target was to eliminate trans fats in the 2023, and they have introduced many of the policy interventions, which my colleague will be discussing in detail later on. And currently, the 9 out of 16 countries with the highest estimated proportion of coronary heart disease deaths, they don't have any they have not adopted any best practice policies, and they are still having difficulties in that, and Pakistan is one of them. Next, please. Next slide, please. And these are different types of policy interventions which are recommended globally as well as adopted by the many countries in the world, around 140 countries, and at different levels, different types of policy interventions. But the best practice policy interventions are mandatory national TFL limit, which Mr. Salman was discussing about, and also the mandatory national ban on the partially hydrogenated oil, which we are trying to, I think my colleagues will discuss more about that, and also the limiting labeling of these products which is very cost effective, as well as the, like we have seen in the tobacco smoking, tobacco packs also, which is very important, so that the people, when we give the awareness to the people, though they respond to that. Next, please. Next. Yeah. Next slide, please, Umair. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The floor is now open for question, please. Thank you.
Dr. Razia, we have a question on social media platform that if you can explain the impact of ITFA on insulin resistance and the risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, there are, like I have explained, that this effects are due to the like blood vessels in the increased level of the LDL and HDL, which affects the affects on the blood vessel, the diameter of the blood vessels, and the blood supply to the organs is reduced, which results in different different which damages the end organs. For example, this pancreas, where the insulin is produced, also is one of that, and which can result into the insulin resistance. And insulin resistance, secondly, is the increased consumption of the fats results in the obesity. And obesity is the risk factor for obesity leads to the insulin resistance. And it is like the circular, it's a vicious. Once it starts the insulin resistance, and then the obesity starts. And otherwise, on the other side, when you gain the weight, then there is increased demand of the insulin, and increased insulin is produced, which is the anabolic, and which increases your weight also, in both ways. So this is a vicious cycle. So whenever we are giving some intervention, medical point of view, we break this cycle. Thank you. And weight reduction is the one of that, which is, and the weight reduction, how it is weight reduction to reduce the dietary amount of the fats, or also to increase, to change your lifestyle, dietary habits also. Thank you.
So we have another question as well. If you can explain, ITFA has the potential to cause the liver disease.
Yes, there are certain studies on liver disease also, but the evidence on that is I could see the 2 or 3 studies on that, and one of them was from Pakistan. But that is the basically the main cause is the its effect on the LDL and the HDL, and which affects on the arterial supply or the blood supply to the organs. So there are certain other factors also, which if they are combined with the ITFA, they can cause these diseases.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Over to you, Jasha, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to the next presentation of our training, I would like to invite Deputy Director of Islamabad Food Authority, Dr. Tahira Siddiqui. Please, ma'am, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Dr. Tahira Siddiqui, Deputy Director at Islamabad Food Authority. Islamabad Food Authority is one of the regulatory bodies working in the Pakistan, but it established last year in 2023. Here I will give you just a review of national and international regulations on industrially produced trans fatty acids. Next, please. Trans fatty acids, they are naturally produced, or their natural sources animals, mainly ruminant animals. They are found in the meat and dairy. They are produced by the bacteria in their intestine, and they are predominantly found in our surroundings or in our society as industrially produced trans fatty acids. They are produced by the partial hydrogenation of liquid vegetable oils, and commonly found in the fried, baked, frozen and refrigerated products. In addition to baked products, the pre-packaged foods, margarine, spreads, prathas, fried street foods like samosas, pakoras, jalebis, and ultra-processed foods. They are also the big source of trans fatty acids. They are popular since the 20th century for taste, texture, and shelf life, because by partial hydrogenation, ghee is produced, banaspati ghee, and they give the specific texture and taste and aroma to the food products that are fried products produced in our specifically in our countries, in our region. Pakistan is the second highest consumer of trans fats in the Eastern Mediterranean region. This is the report by the WHO. Next, please. ITFA elimination in all countries around the world can save 17 million people, 17 million lives by 2040. This is a huge impact of ITFA stoppage or reduction in ITFA production. There are two main policies approaches that were suggested by the WHO or that are currently in use to eliminate the ITFA. One of them is to limit the industrially produced trans fatty acids in all products up to 2%. This legislation should be for all the foods which are either have naturally occurring trans fatty acids or industrially produced trans fatty acids, and it must be for the products and for the foods that are at producer levels, not for only the foods that are available to the consumer levels. And the second one is the ban on partially hydrogenated oils, the major source of industrially produced trans fatty acids. Next, please. WHO launched the Replace initiative in 2018. It is a roadmap developed by WHO to help in accelerating the actions in the form of 6 steps for the promotion of use and consumption of healthier fats, and to eliminate or minimize the ITFA by the regulatory actions or establishing the solid monitoring systems and creating awareness among the policymakers, producers, suppliers, and the public. In this replace, there are 6 steps, as we all know. RE for the review, to review our industrially produced trans fats and their main dietary source, and to promote the replacement, which replacement we can give the industry or the people for the industrially produced trans fatty acids for healthier fats. And then legislate, to enact the regulatory actions, because without regulatory actions, nobody will implement it. And assess and monitor the trans fat content in the supply and changes in the trans fat consumption in the population. For this, we have to conduct the analysis, we have to strengthen the laboratories, then create the awareness among the people that ITFA is negative for health and it is bad for health. We have to create such awareness and then enforce. When we made the policies and regulations, then we have to enforce their compliance among the people. Next, please. When we see at the international level, in 2019, the member organizations of International Food and Beverage Alliance publicly committed to limit the ITFA to 2 gram per 100 gram in their food products worldwide by 2023. As the WHO launched the project of ITFA in 2018 and to set the target till 2023 to eliminate the ITFA. So the member organizations of IFBA, they committed with them. And at this time, 53 countries have implemented their best practice policies to lower their major health risks, and they save 3.7 billion people. That is the 46% of the world's population. The countries, WHO take the initiative in last year 2023 and awarded the certificates to the countries who applied the best practice policies at start, and 5 countries were given the certifications. It includes Denmark, Lithuania, Poland, Saudi Arabia, and Thailand. Low and middle income countries like us have also passed the policies, but Pakistan has not yet passed any policy to eliminate the trans fatty acids. They include the India, Bangladesh, Philippines, Argentina, Ukraine, Nigeria, and Brazil. Next, please. Here is just a global scorecard, which is showing the best practice TFA policy implemented countries and the countries who have just passed their policies but not in effect or not in implementation. And there are some countries in green color with less restrictive TFA limits, and in yellow other complementary measures are adopted but not policies are adopted, and in orange national policy commitment to eliminate TFA. They have national commitments but they have not yet formed their policies and they are not in implementation. And some countries, they have monetary mechanisms for mandatory TFA limits, and in white in this global map, they are the countries which have missing data. Next, please. By the February 2024, 79 countries passed the legislation or regulatory measures, and 61 countries have adopted best practice policies. 61 have adopted. As I told in previous slide, 53 have implemented. Pakistan is still in the less restrictive category in the WHO scorecard, and just I have told that WHO has marked the deadline of 2023 for the elimination of ITFA, but Pakistan has missed that deadline. Next, please. Denmark was the first country who banned the trans fats and start saving his lives. It was the first legislation regarding the ITFA was made in 2005 in Denmark, and they set the maximum level of 2% as recommended by WHO. They have no strong objection from the industry. The industry supported them in this, a best policy or a helpful policy for the public health, and the ban followed by a decrease in cardiovascular diseases mortality rates, and the estimated 142 deaths per 1 lakh reduced. And the other countries like Austria, Georgia, Hungary, Iceland, they also followed them. Next, please. Next. In European countries, the regulatory action they implemented for the food products and implemented the regulations on industrially produced trans fatty acids, and it gave a very positive impact on the health. And they approximately they said that by increasing 1 gram of trans fatty acids, additional 1 gram of trans fatty acids every day increases 5% increase in heart diseases or heart attacks. And this health impact was reduced by the adoption of their regulations. In market impact, food products containing the traces of industrial trans fats were removed from the market, European Union market, so that they protect the people from the potential harm of the industrial produced trans fatty acids. And they also met the timeline of WHO, as they covered this all scenario in till 2023. Next, please. In Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia and Iran took the regulatory action in 2016 by setting the limit of 2%, and Saudi Arabia in 2020 banned the trans fatty acids in their products, and they signal a commitment to the promoting healthier dietary practices. Then Bahrain and Kuwait also followed them. Next, please. In Asian countries, India, Bangladesh, Thailand, Singapore, and Philippines are few examples of countries who accepted the best practice. In Thailand, in 2019, Thailand took the prospective steps by banning the use of partially hydrogenated oils, and then after following them, Singapore also implemented a ban on PHOs on 2021. India has similar trajectory in combating ITFA consumption as Pakistan. They capped ITFA at 10% in 2011 and 5% in 2015. Their enforcement remained challenged, and their implementation started in 1st January 2022 by adding in the regulations. India's Food Safety and Standard Authority FSI initiated a program called Eat Right India to address the harms brought by the ITFA consumption. Next, please. The goals of public health can be achieved by adopting the ITFA policies. It will save the lives, reduce the diseases, minimize the healthcare costs associated. So countries that have eliminated the ITFA have seen substantial health benefits. Just like a few of them are mentioned here. Argentina, their annual coronary heart diseases reduction was 1.3 to 6.3%. Denmark, they have decreased the mortality by 3.2%. England and Wales, they have estimated to result in around 1,600 fewer deaths and 4,000 fewer hospital admissions per year. And same way, New York, the countries in the state of New York with restrictions on ITFA saw 7.8% fewer hospital admissions for heart attacks between 2007 and 2013 than countries without restrictions. Next, please. Here is a map showing the intake of trans fatty acids. As in this map, Egypt is also at higher level, but Egypt has adopted the ITFA policies, and now only Pakistan is in this state that they have the highest TFA intake. PCSIR conducted analysis last year for different products, and at this time, ITFA in our Banaspati ghee is 14.2% to 34.3%, margarine and fat spreads 11.5% to 34%, and in the same way in bakery shortening 7.3 to 31%. Still, we have a high level of trans fatty acids in our products. Next, please. Pakistan has taken some steps, or some efforts were conducted regarding the reduction of trans fatty acids, and for this enactment of mandatory limits for trans fats rich products in different provinces, there were different limits at different times. Punjab Food Authority took a big step by imposition the ban on Banaspati ghee, but unfortunately it was due to Supreme Court's orders, this was not implemented. In 2017, PSQCA limits at 10%, which was reduced to 5% in 2019, and then finally in 2023, it has been aligned with the WHO requirement 2%. And the major step taken by the Pakistan government was the harmonized standards set by PSQCA for the control of fatty acids. Next, please. To promote the ITFA elimination, different steps have to be taken or must be included in the national regulations. One of them is mandatory labeling of trans fatty acids on fat or fat-containing products. Then revision of PSQCA standards for Banaspati ghee or saturated fats, along with the revision of trans fatty acids regulation, so that because the current regulations have 2% implementation for fewer products, it must be for all the products which having the fat or any fat containing ingredients or just like that. And in the same way, specifically ultra processed foods must be included in the standards. Saturated fats must also be standardized up to 2% so that we can control this all scenario. And the prohibition on the production, use, sale, and supply of all oil, fats, beverages, or any other related products or derivative foods that contain more than 2 grams. There must be a ban on them. Or there must be a penalty included in our SOPs, in all the SOPs of all the food regulatory bodies, so that we can implement this regulation and implement this policy, promote unsaturated fats or refined oils as the alternate. And there must be a great, at big level, public awareness for the demerits or about the negativity of the trans fatty acids, so that when the people know about it, they will definitely avoid to purchase such products which having the trans fatty acids. Next, please. Finally, I would like to say that it is a complex challenge to eradicate the industrially produced trans fatty acids, but we have to adopt the effective policies and ban the partially hydrogenated oils, and the transparent labeling must be implemented. It is a multifaceted approach. We have to work together with the government, and the private stakeholders have to work together so that we can implement it, and there must be a commitment and collaboration at all levels for the successful implementation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Taira, for elaborating us on national and international policies and regulation on ITFA. The floor is now open for question. Please. Thank you.
So we have one question, that how WHO recommendations impact our national policies, and as you are from Islamabad Food Authority, how you are implementing these recommendations in Islamabad.
Sorry, please, I couldn't hear your voice.
So let me repeat that. So how WHO recommendations impact our national policies, And as you are from Islamabad Food Authority, how you are implementing these recommendations in this region, Islamabad?
I just a little bit understand your question. Are you asking about the implementation in the Islamabad? How we can implement it?
Yes, how you are implementing in Islamabad region and
In
in
Islamabad, we are implementing in such a way that we are checking the oil mills that are located in the vicinity of the Islamabad. We took sample from them and sent to the labs and check how much TFA is present there. And if TFA is higher than the 2%, then we take the penal action against them. But we have not yet started against the loose oil or the regarding the local people who are using for frying the pakoras, samosas and fries. In our next campaigns, we will also add this in our plan.
Okay, thank you. Am I audible now?
Yes, please.
And they have also asked that how WHO recommendations impact our national policies.
WHO implementation is affecting our national policies as we have to adopt them. All other countries in the world have adopted the WHO recommendation of 2%, and they have the very positive impact regarding the health. And when we will adopt this in our national policy, it will help us in the limitizing the cost for health resources and health issues, and also it will help in our health of the children. It will reduce the disease rate that are related to the trans fatty acids.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tahira. I hope that you have answered the query. If there's any other question, you can write in comment section. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So moving on to our next presentation. I would like to invite Dr. Syed Mohammad Ghufran Saisab to elaborate us on the subject. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm audible?
Yes, sir, you
audible?
are audible. Yes,
Oh,
sir, you
thank
are
you so
audible.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now today's I'm very happy to see a very good session is conducted by the SPDI, and especially related with the issues of ITFA, because in our society people are not aware with the different type of the things, and especially the policies what is going on. So I think it's a very good platform that is providing the opportunity to industry and other peoples who are related with the health system. They know what's going on in our country and what are the international practices that's going on. So my topic is related with the practical findings. What are the alternatives? How we can eliminate the trans fatty acid through practical implementation of such type of the things that is possible in our country. So we will discuss all these things. Next slide, please. Next slide. As trans fatty acid is discussing from the initial Dr. Dr. Tahira and previous presenter also discussed about the trans fatty acid. Basically, trans fatty acid is the unsaturated fatty acids, and it basically forms the change of the basic structure, backbone of the structure of the fatty acid becomes trans from the cis structure. And the reason behind this, during the hydrogenation process, especially the partially hydrogenation process, where double bonds converted into the single bond. So in the structure, this process increases the melting point. For example, this is the structure of the carbon-18 chain of the similar one. But the difference is that oleic acid contains the double bond. Similarly, the elladic acid that contain the melting point 44 degrees centigrade, and the stearic acid that is the melting point of the 70 degrees centigrade. So this is the difference when double bond decreases in any chain, in any fatty acid chain, so it becomes highly increase their melting point. So that's why it is highly feasible for manufacturing of the different type of the product, especially the puffs. Similarly, the emulsification properties of the different product like munis or something like that, ice cream, and so many things can be formed by using less double bond in the fatty acids. So now, especially when we talk about the partial hydrogenation process, so double bond this becomes converted into a single bond, and in partial hydrogenation, where some double bonds remain, so a few double bonds becomes trans, and that trans create the problem. So the trans fat content of the hydrogen during the hydrogenation, 10% to 40%. It depends on the process of the hydrogenation. So 40% trans fat may be formed through the hydrogenation process. Next slide. This is very alarming situation all over the world. So WHO plan to eliminate this ITFA from the world. And approximately 278,000 deaths are globally reported from that is to be started, and now it is the ratio is very high. Trans fat clogs, basically the arteries. Dr. Razia also have discussed the complications arises from the ITFA. So industrially trans fat product is normally found in the margarine, vegetable shortening, vanaspati ghee, fried foods, baked foods or baked goods, such as crackers, biscuits, and pies. So the baked and fried streets and restaurant foods often contain the industrially produced trans fatty acid that also form during the frying process, but naturally it is coming from different type of the sources, for example, from the animal source, but that is not harmful. But the ITFA, which is coming from the industrial side, it is highly harmful. So that's why its limit is to be marked as the 2% of the total relating with the fat, and this is 2.2 gram limit as per 2,000 calories food intake. So this is the problem is that in 2023, Pakistan limit its content of the 2.2 gram of the trans fat in the fat products, fat and fat products, but that was only the 5 items. Now it is going to be limit on the different food products, which we can say the all food items to be implemented with the ITFA. So maybe, hopefully, we will take a very happy news regarding that. The Pakistan will implement such policy. Next slide. Trans fat reduction and elimination is technologies are different technologies are working in the all over the world. These are very common technologies applying in the global oil industries that are producing with the reduced or eliminated trans fat content in the fat, and also that fat, edible fat, is using in the food. Number one is the formulation. Like different type of the formulation used, modification of the fatty acid composition through the genetics, hydrogenation process, fractionation, interesterification. These are the 5 established techniques which is using all over the world for elimination of the trans fatty acid. We will discuss these techniques, but other than this, a few novel techniques are also working. So we will also discuss what are these. So these are enabling technologies. Please, next slide. So let's start with the formulation. When we talk about the formulation, there are 4 different type of the strategies are using. Number 1 is the entrapment of the liquid oil. Basically, the process is that the liquid oil can be entrapped in the solid fat matrix. So a small percentage of the completely hydrogenated soybean oil can entrap a large amount of the liquid oil. So it becomes a very, you can say, very structured type of the structure formed, and that can be applied in different type of the product. So it's very high melting fats, as they can leave a coating in the mouth cavity and create waxiness. Based on the food product formulation, the entrapment can also be achieved by other component present in the formulation, such as emulsifiers and something like that. Similarly, the blending partially hydrogenated fat with these stable high oleic acid. So it's also a strategy to minimize the production of the or elimination of the trans fatty acid. So it can provide the structure and oxidative stability with the reduced trans fat content. Addition of the antioxidant to fat and oil that can provide the oxidative stability and improve the shelf life of the product. So these type of the antioxidant naturally like tocopherol, a synthetic type of the antioxidant like BHA, BHT, or a combination of both. Special hydrogenation condition that also a technique which is utilizing all over the world. So in this process, low trans base stock that can still permit the trans fat 0 gram. So the label depending upon the fat content and serving size as described in the hydrogenation section that we will discuss in next slides. Next slide. Second is the hydrogenation technique. Hydrogenation is basically applied from the 20th century, from the initial of the 20th century. During this process, the two primary reasons for hydrogenation are to improve the oxidative stability. Number one is oxidative stability increases and increase the solid fat content, because solid fat content is required for manufacturing a specialized type of the product. There's a very common example. For example, halwa puri is very common in our society in a morning breakfast. If you would fry the puri in the normal oil, it will not give the texture. It's very soft, and you would not found any mouthfeel. But in comparison, that will fry in the saturated fat or in vanaspati, that will give a very, very improved texture. And the reason behind this, this type of the oxidative stability with the increased solid fat content in that product. So that will give the mouthfeel. So the improved oxidative stability also improve the flavor and shelf life of the product. The increased solid fat content increasing the melting temperature and provide improved food texture and functionality. And similarly, with the current hydrogenation technology, the trans fat formation can be reduced but not eliminated. This is very important. We can minimize the production of the trans fatty acid by the current technique, but we cannot completely eliminate. So how can we control this trans fatty acid production? Formation increase with the hydrogenation temperature. So number one, hydrogenation during the hydrogenation process, temperature becomes low, so its formation becomes slow. With increase in pressure, catalyst concentration, and agitation. So these are all the factors can be applied for controlling the trans fatty acid formation. Hydrogen starvation during the hydrogenation and using a reused or poisoned catalyst can also increase the transformation. That's a big problem, because industrially this is a issue of the catalyst. The purified catalysts are sometimes not available, or sometimes catalyst reuse technique applied. So such type of the things may cause to increase the production of the trans fatty acid level. So trans fatty acid level can be minimized but cannot be eliminated through this process. Next slide. This is also another technique which is using is the modification of the fatty acid composition through genetics. This is, I think, a very innovative technique where you required different type of the fatty acid in the back of the triacyl glycerol, like on the glycerol backbone. So different type of the products may be found by change in the genetics. So plant genetics can be modified through the conventional plant breeding or genetic engineering. Normally, genetic engineering is applied through for this technique. So in a single crop variety, there are several genotypes which give a specific trait responsible for a specific fatty acid composition. For example, in soybean, genotype with special trait have been developed that include low linolenic acid, high oleic acid, low palmitic, low saturates, high palmitic, and high stearic. This is the single soybean seed with different traits are available. So that's why this is highly important in the future, which type of the fat you required, which type of the variety you required in the oil, so that specialized type of the seed can be grown like several high oleic, including the canola, sunflower, safflower, that is currently available in market. So genetic modification is also targeted toward the creation of high saturated fatty acid varieties that can replace hydrogenation of the oil. with naturally produced solid fat. So that's why this is very important in future, which type of the technology is adopting. So these fats could be further fractionated to give value-added cocoa butter substitutes. This is very important. Specialized type of the things can be achieved through this technique. Next slide. Fractionation. Fractionation is generally applying all over the world. In Pakistan, also using this technique in few industries. And this fractionation technique is a process of crystallization and separation of the low melting liquid and high melting solid proportion of a fat mixture is called the fractionation. Means the given the different temperatures, and at that temperature the fat becomes a solidify, then it to be separated out. So the fractionation can be done with the help of the solvent or without a solvent. Means dry fractionation or the solvent fractionation can be performed. So the dry fractionation process is extensively practiced in the palm oil industry, and the solid and the liquid separated called styrene and the olein respectively. To make this a viable process, certain amount of the solids are necessary at ambient temperature. Because of this reason, the highly saturated or hydrogenated trans fatty acids contains oils are good starting feed materials for the fractionation. Next slide. This is a typical fractionation example of the palm oil. Like refined palm oil contains the slip melting point SMP is 33 to 39 degrees centigrade. But when it is melted and it becomes to take the temperature around 20 degrees centigrade or 22 degrees centigrade. So on the temperature of the 22, 24 degrees centigrade, solidified structure as the palm olein, and the liquefied portion becomes as a palmistyrene. That melting temperature becomes 40 to 50 degrees centigrade. On the super olein, that palmoline can further be you can say distributed or through this fractionation technique to be super olein. That melting temperature less than 20 degrees centigrade. Palm mid fractions melting temperature 30 to 35 degrees centigrade. In case of the palmistyrene, that melting temperature achieving 40 to 50 degrees centigrade, that can be directly utilized for the different type of the food product. For example, when we talk about the patties required very hardened structure and required hardened fat. Similarly, a few types of the other food items like bakar khani that also required palmistyrene-like structure, like high melting fat is required. So this palmistyrene can also be further fractionated as palm mid fraction that contain 30 to 35 degree melting, and hard styrene that gives the melting temperature 46 to 54 degrees centigrade. So this is the typical example how you can achieve from a natural source as a palm oil fractions for utilizing different products. So this is the technique. Next slide. Another very important technique which is applying in the first world and also in our country, but this technique is not very common and very popular, but this is a very functional type of the technique that can be applied for manufacturing of saturated fat or given the texture, and also can be a good replacer of the PHO. What is the interesterification? Interesterification is, you can say, two different type of the fatty acids, two different type of the triacyl glycerols can intermingle or interchange their fatty acids within their backbone of the triacyl glycerol. So the interesterification proceed to use is to modify the distribution of the fatty acid. Thus, modification the properties of the natural or hydrogenated or fractionated oil or fat. So in interesterification is a transesterification of the two or more oil or fat, where the fatty acid arrangement on the glycerol backbone of each the original triacyl glycerol is rearranged. So in this rearrangement process, interesterification rearrangement can be done by the chemical process, and also it can be dealt with the enzymatic process. In chemical process, sodium methoxide is involved, and normally the high oleic canola, for example, use that melting temperature 0 degrees centigrade, and fully hydrogenated soybean oil that melting temperature around 70 degrees centigrade. So these are the two extremes. When we mixed these two oil samples, and again it becomes onto the normal room temperature. So the liquid portion becomes liquid and the solid portion becomes a solid. So that's why a complete mixture can be formed by applying the interesterification technique. When the base catalyst applied sodium methoxide with some specialized creation of the specialized environment, then this chemical interesterification of the high oleic with the fully hydrogenated soybean oil, that gives the product of intermediate melting temperature. That's around 35 to 40 degrees centigrade. Similarly, enzymatic process also can be applied, but little bit the shift in that only the 1 and 3 position of the glycerol backbone of the fatty acids can be intershift, or you can say switch it out. But the position of the second number of the fatty acid on the glycerol backbone cannot be changed. So the enzymatic process is commercially applied to produce more exotic fat like cocoa butter substitutes and something like that. But currently nowadays, chemical interesterification is more popular because that is much easier than the enzymatic control. But enzymatic process may also be a future, and that can be produce more cost-effective solution in manufacturing of the trans fat reduced or eliminated product. Next slide. This is the complete example, clear example. Chemical interesterified and enzymatically produced, having the same type of the texture and structure. And you can see in the graph in the format of the blend, non-interesterified structure is totally separated, and that have not a particular type of the temperature you can achieve. This is the typical example. Next slide. A few novel trans fat replacement strategies are over there, in which the requirement of removing partially hydrogenated oil in the food products. US and Drug Administration is challenging the food industry to seek out healthy replacement that do not change the physical and sensorial properties of the end product. So in which polymer oleogelators are the a specific example in the future industry of the oil and fat. So this novel technique is basically in the recent years structuring the liquid oil through the use of the polymer, such as a promise for food application, like presently directly dispersing the hydrophobic polymer in the oil phase is acceptable strategy. The common example is the gelation process given by the ethyl cellulose, EC. So EC is a semi-crystalline derivative of the cellulose, which commercially produced with the ethoxyl substitution. So ethyl cellulose, how it works? Next slide. This is the strategy, novel trans fat replacement strategy. In ethyl cellulose, that is soluble in a variety of organic solvent and exhibit a glass transition temperature 130 degrees centigrade, and above which ethyl cellulose can be dispersed in the edible oil. Here, the schematic diagram, how it works. So the tailored ethyl cellulose oleogels first to disperse in the solvent and temperature maintained. Then its structure is added in the oil, and during the heat treatment, it becomes, when it is settled out, it gives a very specific type of the oleogel structure. So subsequently, the mix induces the formation of the interpolymer hydrogen bonds, creating a three-dimensional entangled polymer network in which the liquid oil entrapped. So when liquid oil entrapped in this structure, so it gives a very modified structure of the fat. As ethyl cellulose oleogels that must be heated exceed 130 degrees centigrade induce gelation. The influence temperature on the integrity of the oil phase is obvious. Concerned antioxidant may be added to reduce the oil oxidation because oil becomes reduced. Presently, one of the major challenge aspect of applying oleogel to food system and the difficulty in accurately mimicking the textural properties as it is found in the traditional fats. So in this regard, ethyl cellulose oleogels appear to show a great potential that can be applied and that can be used as a potential substitute of the trans fat. Next slide. Another strategy is the plant-based wax oleogels. Natural plant-based wax oleogels is to be introduced in the range of 1 to 4% by forming a three-dimensional network that entrap the oil and absorb into the surface of the network. The WHO has been allowed a different type of the waxes, and it given the grass status like rice bran wax, candelilla wax, canabra wax. These are the grass generally recognized as safe. So they are therefore promising oil structure agent because they are commercially available and relatively inexpensive. So considering the amount required for gelation, that is very low. 1 to 4% amount is enough for making a specialized type of the structure. So the rheological properties of the wax oleogels can be matched with the PHO. The normal partially hydrogenated fat contains properties that oleogels having the same type of the properties by introducing such type of the wax in different percentages. So wax oleogels are formed by heating wax oil mixture above melting range until the wax particles are fully dissolved, and followed by subsequently cooling the melt either statically or under the shear. Next slide. These are the techniques how they can be made. Next slide. Because I have short of time, I am also keep an eye on the time, so that's why I'm skipping few things. Structured emulsion is also a technique where monoglyceride added with the triacyl glycerol like soft oil and a few hard oils, and it becomes a form of a mixture or an emulsifier that can be applied for different type of the product for manufacturing of the cake, biscuit, and something like that. So in this case, monoglyceride with the co-emulsifiers and the liquid oil means these are the oily phase, and the water phase contain the preservative polysaccharide and the water. So these two components make together form a very good structure that can apply for various food items. Next slide. This is the structure of the monoglyceride that I explained. On a right side picture, you can see unconventional oil structuring that is continually forming in different type of the food item. But when it applied with a particular type of the structuring, that forms on the conventional oil structuring. So it gives very good structure that forms a stable form, and that co-emulsifiers like sodium stearate, acetyl tartaric acid, esters of the monoglyceride, lecithin, phospholipids have also been identified, which stabilize the alpha phase. So these structures is highly valuable, and that can be applied for manufacturing or providing the strategic technique for the tailoring of the food with the same properties with showing partially hydrogenated fat. Next slide. We will take few examples of international brands, how they are working on it. Basically, the few brands I have identified over here, they are producing the trans-free product in America, in UK, and in different other countries. Next slide. RS USA. RS USA developed 3 families of the non-hydrogenated zero trans, and their brand is Essence. This essence naturally contains the different type of the things, and no any type of the product contains the trans fatty acid level more than 1% of the structure. So that's why this is very important. Like hydrogenation, butter fat, lard, and cocoa butter substitutes are available by using different techniques. Next slide. Another company is ADM Nova Lipids. ADM Nova Lipids is contributing in development of the low trans fat solution for food application. They are producing number of the food items, number of the fat items that is utilizing with the low trans or zero trans containing fat. So these 4 areas of the lipid technology include naturally stable oil, lauric and palm fats, blended fat and oil, enzyme interesterified shortenings, and margarines. Next slide. Bunge Oil. Bunge Oil Company is one of the leading edible oil supplier in North America with facilities located across the USA and Canada, and Bunge Oil is well positioned to offer broad range of trans-reduced options. So Bunge Oil offers options utilizing proprietary hydrogenation, that have their own technique that is patented, palm and lauric oils, and new oil seed varieties possessing unique traits. So companies are working on that strategy. Next. Cargill Specialty Oil. Cargill is one of the leading oil company, edible oil company in the world. So Cargill Specialty Oils offer a complete line of the zero trans high stability oil. These new generation oil deliver exceptional stability without hydrogenation, and these oil deliver superior food flavor, unmatched convenience, and outstanding performance. Next slide. Loaders Crocklin, they are basically working with the palm oil fractionates, different fractionates, making the different properties with that. So Loader Crocklin is, you can say, a big company working in the Malaysia and Indonesia, and they are, you can say, approximately 50 billion pound annual production, and the second only to the soybean oil. So largest producer of the Malaysia and Indonesia, and sending China, India, European Union, these are the countries working with the Loaders Crocklin. Next slide. And this is Premium Vegetable Oil, SD and PhD. They are also working with this. Next. So this is from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Syed, for an interesting presentation, elaborating us on recent developments and advancements in the field that we can effectively manipulate to our advantage. Thank you so much, sir. We have few questions. First of all, in Pakistan, considering our limitations, what process or technique will you recommend to the industry for effectively controlling the ITFA problem?
Please, again, I think internet connection issue, please.
Okay. We have a question. In Pakistan, considering our limitations, what process or technique will you recommend to the industry for effectively controlling the ITFA problem?
Basically, when we talk about the household use of the vanaspati, I think there is no issue because mostly the palm oil and similarly the vanaspati that is producing for the home usage that can be easily controlled through the normal techniques. The problem is the industrial fat, which is using for manufacturing of the different food items, especially as I given the example of like paratha that is selling in the frozen format, or the bakar khani, or puri or something like that. These are having problems because they require specialized type of the texture, including the penny, khajla. These type of the product cannot get the structure without the fat that is required with the zero trans. So we offered and comment and also given the solution for the different industries to use these techniques. But right now, just you can say we are not in the phase to modify our specialized type of the food items with the zero trans fat, and that would be possible because world is working on that. So why not we? We can also do work on it. So I think the problem is with the industrial trans fat that is consuming in the industry. Home usage product, I don't think so any problem.
Thank you, sir. We have another question. In your experience, can best manufacturing practice can this technique, the
Sir,
best manufacturing,
can
they
you please repeat?
effectively control the outcome?
Can you please repeat your question, because again the main part of the question becomes obsoleted due to the disconnection.
Sure, sir. In your experience, can best manufacturing practices can effectively control ITFA problem?
Yes, I think best practice can control but not eliminate. For example, when we are applying a hydrogenation process for making a hardened fat, and that that is partially hydrogenated. So this is very common. TFA level becomes high, and more than 5% TFA forms. You can go for any technique in partial hydrogenation that will form. Yes, another way, the technique with the conversion of the complete conversion in the hydrogenation, fully hydrogenation, and then after fully hydrogenation, soft oil mixed with the sodium methoxide, like interchemical interesterification, then it will provide the zero trans and with specialized type of the structure that we needed. But unfortunately, one or two companies are working on that in Pakistan. Rest of the companies are not working in this style, and they feel this is very difficult, such type of the product not having the market, or this is not a practical way of the solution. But I think this is the way, and we should require such type of the techniques in future. Otherwise, we cannot control all these things in a smart way.
Thank you, sir.
So we have two more questions. Questions are coming. So
No
number
issue,
one
no
is,
issue.
what challenges do food manufacturers face when switching to ITFA-free oils, and how can they overcome these challenges?
I think a big challenge is the technique, because if government take the action and totally ban on the partial hydrogenation, then what would be the way? Because the normal way is a complete hydrogenation, go on to the complete hydrogenation. Problem is that the currently stalled plant is not having the capacity to 100% conversion of the hydrogenated fat, because it required very critical way of controlling the factors. If the companies can adopt complete conversion, means no partial hydrogenation, then a trans fat issue becomes resolved. Now, problem is that this 100% converted hydrogenated fat having a very high melting point. Now it is to be shipped into the low melting. So next part is the conversion, interesterification, that is through the chemical way or in an enzymatic way. Exactly, India performing the same technique by using this is the style complete hydrogenation, and with the soft oil mixing, and then chemical interesterification. So they have controlled under the limit of the 2% ITFA. So I think this is the solution for our industry. They tried to shift for this again for this strategy that can control the ITFA level less than the 2%.
Thank you so much. So another question is, how do genetic modification in plants help produce ITFA-free oils, and what are ethical considerations?
I think so. Ethically, that is not any issue, because genetically modified product is available. For example, when we talk about the canola, everybody know what is canola. Canola is basically the genetic shift of the normal rapeseed, and that not contain or very low amount of the erucic acid. So this erucic acid is minimized in the canola, and that trait is developed by the Canada. So they named as canola, Canadian oil. Similarly, soybean varieties is developing. So we are not working on such type of the level genetic engineering, but world is working on that. Recent workings in China, in America, in UK, they are developing such type of the traits, and I think that is a very feasible technique in future that can provide a specialized type of the structure through a natural way. That will be the part of, I think, the natural way practice.
Thank you. So we have a comment. In a comment section that someone mentioned that also Golden Agri Resources, all products are trans free. Besides that, please, sir.
Yes, please complete your comment.
So there's another comment by the same user that these techniques are going to increase the processing cost too. This is the core reason I believe no one is opting right now, but once they're bound to follow through some legislation, they have to.
Yes, I am agreed because if any new technique is applying, then it will create you can say involvement of more involvement of the required costing, especially some you can say some type of the capital investment would be required, and similarly the processing would also increase the price. So I think this is the way. That we can in future can be controlled by different techniques, because if any technique becomes new in the world, then it will having some type of the issues, and with the passage of time that becomes uh, controlled, and that becomes common.
Uh, Thank you. So there's another question. The question is related to advocacy, that how can aware were people regarding this issue?
Very simple way. You are working very good. I think this is the way, especially in a educated pupils in a on a through the social media and something like that. These are the things that can be completely you can follow, and I think this is the way. This is from last 10 years. I'm working on the ITFA. I'm also the member of the PSQC committee that is working on the ITFA. But this type of the program I have not seen. So I think such type of the programs is required, and this is the need of our society. Through such type of program, we can educate, especially the educated pupils, because I think here number of pupils are seeing this program. So through this media, I can just suggest this type of the topics must be introduced in our society, so people become sensitized.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for very informative and comprehensive presentation on the topic. Moving forward, over to you, Jasha, please. If there's any other question, please write that question in comment section. Thank you.
Yes, I just add Golden Agri Resources. Yes, that is the company. But we just give an example of a few companies. I have also the details of these companies, what they are producing, which type of the product they are producing. So just we give an example over here who are working on that, and they are very, very popular. So yes, number of companies are working on it. So you are right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Moving on. I would like to invite Dr. Ms. Farah, Deputy Director, Standard and Accreditation from Punjab Food Authority, to please elaborate us on the subject. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Aya. I feel privileged to interact on this forum. Firstly, I do like to share with the House that there was a little misunderstanding about a topic that was assigned to me and it went overlooked. So I tender my apologies for that. And moving ahead, by now we have a quite sound understanding of the ITFA, and my counterparts have already explained in detail that how they are produced and what measures other countries have taken to reduce its consumption, and the technology shift as well. Leading the discussion further, I would like to talk about the impacts of ITFA on health and how they are associated with increasing rate of non-communicable diseases in Pakistan, and what steps have been taken by the Pakistan regulatory authorities to control the supply of unhealthy fat in the food chain. Actually, my presentation is the crux of the former presenters. And starting with the background, PFA was the first food safety authority that banned PHO, partially hydrogenated fat, in 2017 upon recommendations of the scientific panel in view of the health implication associated with the consumption of ITFA, and after giving an ample time for the business adjustment to the relevant stakeholders, the ban was implemented in 2020, but it was not actually materialized due to the as the regulations were called off by the judiciary. Next, please. In Pakistan, the alarming prevalence of NCDs pose a significant public risk challenge. As per statistics of WHO, 6 out of 10 deaths are attributed to those conditions. Among the leading causes of mortality within this category are the cardiovascular diseases, including ischemic heart diseases, accounting for 3 out of 10 deaths. Further, according to another survey conducted in 2014 and 15, more than 4 out of 10 individuals in the country are either overweight or obese. The high prevalence is not confined to the adults. Alarmingly, the same survey also highlights a significant rise in the overweight among the children under 5, with the prevalence of approximately doubling from 2011 to 2018, as per National Nutrition Survey of Pakistan that was conducted in 2018. Next, please. Majority dietary risks are consisting of the range of factors that contribute to the development of NCDs and possess significant threats to the public health. Among these risks, ITFA, saturated fats, and high sugar consumption and salt intake are the most common. Please, next. ITFA commonly found in processed food like snacks and baked food are known to elevate LDL cholesterol level and increase the risk of cardiovascular diseases. Addressing these dietary risks through regulatory measures, public health campaigns, and promoting healthier food choices is essential for reducing the burden of NCDs, as I have already shared the statistics, and improving population health outcomes. Next, please. I request you to please skip this slide, as Dr. Tahira has already elaborated it. Thank you. Major dietary sources for the ITFA in Pakistan, as already explained, are the cooking oils. Cooking oils in the way that during the refining process, the elevated temperature of approximately 200 degrees Celsius and even more is used for the prolonged time period, which lead to the formation of the trans fatty acids in some cases. The next one is the margarine and the bakery fats. Another one that is the basic culprit behind the ITFA consumption, elevated ITFA consumption, is the banaspati ghee. Next, please. These are the few pictorial illustration of the food items that are comprising of the high TFA and are readily available in the market for sale. Next, please. These are the street food that are also comprising enriched sources of the ITFA. Here, I want to add something about the operational intervention of the Punjab Food Authority. We try to limit the ITFAs in these foods, in the fried foods, as we have set the limits of the total polar compounds in the frying oil, which is 24. And at this point, the TFA found in the used oil is generally up to the 5%. Next. Government health policies and intervention play a crucial role in shaping dietary patterns and influencing ITFA intake. Policies aimed at promoting healthier diet and reducing the burden of NCDs may include elimination of the industrially produced trans fatty acid by banning partially hydrogenated oil and setting 2% limit of ITFA of total fat in all foods. The banning is the only way out, I think so, and setting 2% TFA in all foods is another important intervention that has already been taken, but partially by the PSQC, and we are going to implement it, being the regulatory bodies. With proper regulation in place, prescribed ITFA limits can be controlled in the food supply chain. Next, please. The slide is depicting predicting that more than half of the world population is currently covered by the mandatory TFA limits explained by many counterparts in detail, such as implementation of the ITFA policies in Argentina and Denmark, being pioneer in this field. Next. By February 2024, a significant milestone was achieved as 79 countries around the world has passed legislation or implemented regulatory measures, and 61 countries adopted best practice policies aimed at addressing various public health concerns. However, Pakistan is still in the less restrict category in the WHO scorecard and missed 2023 deadline as already explained. Next, please. As far as regulatory measures and initiatives are associated, regulatory agencies worldwide have implemented measures to reduce their presence in the food supply, and these measures generally include the mandatory labeling of the trans fatty acids on and the fat content on the food packaging material, which is very important to create awareness among the public for the general consumer. Next one is setting limits of ITFA contents in the food product. Another important factor is the promoting the use of healthier cooking oils like the soft oil and fats, and by running public health campaigns and educational initiatives aim to raise awareness about the health risk associated with ITFA consumption and promote healthier dietary choices. I request you to please skip this slide as it has already been explained. Okay, this is the very important interventions that was taken in July 2023. In June 2023, I'm sorry, in which PSQC, that is a standard setting body that is entrusted with the responsibility of setting standard limit ITFA in various food items that are the vanaspati, margarine, shortenings, bakery fat, rusk, bread, and remaining bakery wares. The notification in this regard was issued in August 2023, and from then to till date, we have a series of consultative sessions with the relevant stakeholders in which we are trying to chalk out that how to eliminate the ITFAs in the industrially produced fat and oil. Next, please. This slide is depicting the regulatory framework of how to control the ITFAs in Pakistan. The basic key regulatory bodies are the PSQCA, which is the standard setting body, as I have already explained. Punjab Food Authority and other provincial food safety authorities are responsible for the enforcement of the limits that are prescribed in the standards. And the current regulation, as far as current regulations are concerned, National Action Plan has been developed by the NHSRC to eliminate trans fats, and mandatory labeling of trans fat contents on food package is required to be mentioned in the list of the nutritional facts as per the harmonized standard notified by the PSQCA. However, there are certain challenges. Industry is relatively reluctant to adopt the new policy due to the perceived cost increases, and of course, a hefty amount is required to switch technology, as Dr. Gufran has already mentioned. Another important aspect is the limited consumer and producer awareness of ITFA risk. And as far as enforcement is concerned, consistent enforcement across provinces is a challenging task because a few provincial food authorities and similarly the Islamabad Food Authority are relatively nascent and they are still in the developing phase. Next, please. I request you to please skip these two slides as they are already been explained. I request you to please skip this slide. Accurate labeling is highly important for small and medium scale entrepreneurs for several reasons. It builds trust and credibility with consumers, create health conscious and information driven market. As a consumer depend upon the product label to make informed purchasing decision. Accurate labeling ensure transparency about the ingredients, nutritional contents, and the potential allergens present in the product, fostering trust between SMEs and their customers. Next, please. The slide is showing the steps for SMEs to label ITFA accurately, which includes understanding regulations, which is very important for the PSQs, for the people who are going to follow it, specifically the small and the medium scale entrepreneur. There are the national standards which has already been harmonized, adopted by all the provincial food authorities, being the enforcement bodies. And one important thing is that it is not only addressing the product specification, but also the labeling requirements. Next important step is the determination or the analysis of the product to analyze, to test the product again for their ITFA contents. And another important factor is the display of ITFA contents per serving on the nutritional facts panel. And I want to add one more thing here is that PFA, Punjab Food Authority, has a dedicated labeling section that is always available for the help of the industry to make their label in compliance with the law. Another important step is the regular update. Science is continuously evolving and update label to reflect any change in formulations or ingredient that affect ITFA contents, conduct periodic reviews and retesting to ensure ongoing accuracy. Another important thing is to educate and train the staff on regulatory compliance and accurate labeling practices, provide consumer education on label regarding ITFA health impacts. Next. This is the way forward, and the only way forward to limit ITFA in all kind of food is to restrict the manufacturing of the partially hydrogenated fat and switching of the partial hydrogenation to interesterification process or any other compatible technology. Again, PFA is very much concerned about the saturated fat as well, as WHO explains in its guidelines that the total energy intake from ITFA should not be more than 1%, and similarly for the saturated fat, it should not be more than 10% of the total fat intake, which is yet to be defined by the PSQC. And I would request SBDI to please take up the matter with the PSQCA to address this saturated fat contents as well. Thank you so much. This is from my side, and if there are any questions, you people are please welcome.
Thank you, ma'am Farah, for recapping and enlightening us with Punjab Food Authority's perspective and elaborating us on labeling norms. The floor is now open for questions. Thank you, ma'am.
So, thank you, Ms. Farah. There's a question that how Punjab Food Authority is working to achieve WHO recommended levels, and what are the main hurdles you are facing in Punjab?
Can you please come again? There was some distortion and I could not get you properly.
So, can you hear me now? Am I audible?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. How Punjab Food Authority is working to achieve WHO recommended levels, and what are the main hurdles you are facing?
Okay. Very first thing is that we gave already an ample time period as a business adjustment time to the processor to switch technology, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. Currently, what we are going to do in this month, from 21st and 22nd May, we are going to start a massive campaign in which complete mapping of ITFA will be done by analyzing all brands that are available for sale in the market, and it would include Banaspati ghee shortenings and shortenings specifically. And we will send this to the accredited lab facility for testing of ITFA content. And as far as hurdles that we are facing in this regard in implementing these WHO recommended limit is that, well, Dr. Kufran has already explained that our industry, except one or two, don't have any sort of facility to make Banaspati that is partially other than the partial hydrogenation technique. And in case if partial hydrogenation is employed in the production of Banaspati, it would lead to the formation of ITFA. But we don't have exactly what percentage of ITFA is present in all brands, and it will be done within a month or so, inshallah, as we are going to completely analyze the products completely that are available for sale in the market, even those that are produced, that are being manufactured in the other provinces of the country, but are being sold in the markets of the Punjab.
Thank you. So we have another question. Which cooking oil is conducive to health?
Soft oils are okay to consume with, just like the canola. Without, I am not sort of supposed to take the name of any brand, but canola, sunflower, corn oil, olive oil, they are all okay to consume. But the major thing that is impacting our health is the excessive consumption of oil as well.
Thank you so much, Ms. Farah. Over to you, Jasha.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to invite Dr. Ghulam Hussain to share with us the contributions of Punjab Oils and their efforts to limit ITFA in Pakistan. Over to you, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, SPDI, for your invitation. I would like to thank on behalf of Punjab Oil Mills. I have 13 years of edible oil and fat manufacturing experience. Before going to successful story, I would like to share a short introduction of Punjab Oil Mills. Punjab Oil Mill Limited is a leading manufacturing edible oil and fat based in Islamabad, Pakistan. We make and market a wide range of cooking and baking mediums and other specialty fats. We have a flagship product names such as canola and canola oil and canola and Zyka. All our brands, all our products are prepared under the strict supervision of quality professionals to ensure the high quality of product. We have ISO 9001 quality management system, EMS, health and safety, food safety certification, and halal certifications. Now, Punjab Oil Mills and trans fats. Next slide, please. Yes, Punjab Oil Mills and trans fat. Trans fat is associated to our product because we are edible oil and fat manufacturing. I want to share 2 lines about trans fat, how they produces in industrial scale. Trans fats produces during hydrogenation process. This is the main source of trans fat production. There are 2 stages. One stage is called partially hydrogenation, where maximum number of trans fat produces. At a partially hydrogenation, 20 to 30% trans fat produces. And the second step is called fully hydrogenation. In this process, where trans fat reduced to 1%, or sometimes I have checked that 0%. Punjab Oil Mill has been working on trans-free fats after the regulation of Punjab Food Authority, that is less than 0.5%. Next, please. Next. After PFA regulation, at that time, we did not have the testing facility, which is the compulsory requirement of any project. We did not send every sample for outsourced testing laboratories because it's also costly. After that, POML management decided that first we must arrange testing facility. On March 2020, we purchased FTNIR, its broker company and German-based company. At that time, I am talking about March 2020. When we check our product on FTNIR, at that time, we had 8 to 10% trans fats, and we were performing partially hydrogenation. Further, we reviewed European standard, Canadian standard, WHO, they have less than 2% trans fat as already described. Also, they have banned partially hydrogenated fats, and they have declared that partially hydrogenated oils are unsafe for human health and not fit for human consumption. January 2021, we decided to move toward interesterification process technique. This is a technique which is being used. In this technique, sodium methylate is being used, but some study shows that sodium methylate is dangerous to human health. But so therefore, we skipped this process, sodium methylate, due to sodium methylate. But still, this technique is under consideration. If sodium methylate is safe for human consumption, then we will move toward interesterification in future. After June 2021, we moved toward fully hydrogenation process. This is the final technique, which is a very difficult and costly. It takes times, labors, utilities, and a load shedding issue. There is lot of issues. Fully hydrogenation is very difficult. First trial batch was produced on November 2021 with 5% trans fat, which compliance against PFA standard. Second batch was produced on January 2021 with 4.2 trans fats. Finally, and a successful trial was done on June 2022 with 2.5% trans fats. Now we have future plannings, and we have set for June 2025 our goals. Further, we reduce to 2%. We are also willing to implement enzymatic interesterification, which is we have done some trials in laboratory basis. In future, inshallah, we will perform this one. And thank you. This is our successful story. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir, for elaborating us regarding the success stories and the efforts that Punjab Oil Mills have put into controlling and regulating the ITFA. We have few questions. Our first question is, what alternative technique or method have been proven to be most effective to limit ITFA in food, in oils?
In
by
oils. Yes,
authority.
yes. Alternative method, first method is already described. Dr. Said has described many methods, techniques. First method is fully hydrogenation, as we are doing. And the second is enzymatic. And the third one is chemical interesterification.
Okay.
So we have few more questions. Common consumer demands grainy structure in ghee, then the pastry texture. How to maintain this demand without hydrogenation?
Yes, it's very difficult. Grains is the primary demand of public, and due to its produces during partially hydrogenation. Therefore, many industries prefer partially hydrogenation. It's impossible without hydrogenation to we may produce such a grainy, and we could not complete the demand of public.
Thank you. Have you calculated cost analysis for enzyme esterification method?
No, we are doing just on laboratory scales. Lipase enzyme is being used in this process. We are in the current initial phases. We are initial stage. We have not done any calculations. We have not done any costing regarding enzymatic interesterification.
Okay, thank you. There's another comment. I believe sodium methylate has nothing to do with the end product. It doesn't pass in the end product. Please elaborate.
Yes, sodium methylate, the effect of sodium methylate is not effect on final product. However, some study shows that sodium methylate is dangerous to human health. Some studies we have searched in internet based data, then we have found that sodium methylate is dangerous.
Many brands like Dalda Foods are using the same process.
Yes, I know Dalda Food is doing the intensification process. Yes, I know.
Thank you so much. I guess we are good to go. There's no more questions. Ms. Farah, do you have anything to comment? Please.
One thing I want to add is enzymatic interestarification is a relatively expensive process as compared to the
Yes.
chemical interestarification, and one of the leading company is already on it. They are using the chemical interestarification process to produce their VTF product, virtually trans fat free product, in which the trans fats generally lie between 0.3 to 0.3 to 0.4%, meaning thereby less than 0.5. And this is at par with the international standards. One more important thing is that a complete technology shift is required by the industry, but industry is somehow reluctant to go for that. We have already regulatory bodies, all the regulatory bodies, we have already beating the drum since 2017 that ITFA is something that has serious health implication and it need to be regularized, it need to be limitized. But we are now in 2024, mid of the 2024, but still industry is just making its mind to limit the trans fatty acid limit to the WHO recommended guidelines.
Thank you. So there's another question for all the panelists, that how to make awareness campaigns for the general public.
Yes, I do like to answer this questions being from the regulatory body, which is the Pioneer Food Safety Authority. We time to time run mass media campaigns regarding the trans fatty acids, just like the other issues we take up, and specifically about the NCDs, non-communicable diseases, and the factors that are associated with the NCDs. Even with we are trying to make public aware about the how dangerous it is to consume excess of cooking oil.
So anyone else want to answer the same question?
Yes, I want to answer this question that Farah is right. I endorse her and second her that all the food authorities are conducting awareness seminars and awareness campaigns regarding the trans fatty acids or any other thing that is going to happen or have the health hazards. We just convey the messages to the public by our social media, by websites, and by the awareness sessions or seminars conducted at the office level or at the public level.
Thank you, Dr. Taira. I would like to add one more thing, that TVCs can play a crucial role in this, since if there is something smoking ad comes or someone is smoking on screen in dramas, in movies, so there is a caption mentioned below that this is injurious to health. So similarly, when in cooking shows, in cooking oil ads, we should mention this thing as well, and this should be the main thing for the public awareness. So there are a few more comments that one most important benefit to use enzymatic IE process is it is very, very specific which fatty acid you want to change, and all of the bus cost is a big issue. And do you have any idea about 3-MCPD and low GE EU standards are concerned about this?
Okay, I want to answer the first question.
Please.
I want to answer the first question. First of all, can you please show me the question? I want to read it once more.
This is one most important benefit to use enzymatic IE process is it is very, very specific, which fatty acid you want to change, and all of the bus cost is a big issue.
Yeah, we have already done with the we have already done great complete walking on it in the series of the meeting with the relevant stakeholders, when it was observed that a cost of approximately 30 million is required to switch technology from this PHO, partially hydrogenation, to interesterification. 30 million is required by the industry, one normal industry. Another important factor is the conducive environment. Economic environment is also required by the industry, as all the equipments required for this should be imported from other countries. They are not manufactured in Pakistan.
Thank you. So the second question was, do you have any idea about 3 MCPD and low GE? EU standards are concerned about this.
I need to look into it. Dr. Gufran may answer this question if he is aware about that. I am not aware.
He is not in the panel right now. Dr. Ghulam Hussain, if you could answer this.
Yes. 3-MCPD is basically monochloropropanol diol. It produces during hydrogenation process, during its process, during 3-MCPD, yes, at high temperature. If oil has a high temperature more than 260 degrees Celsius, then 3-MCPD produces. It produces during deodorization process. Yes. G is for glycidyl acid. I think this is also produced during hydrogenation process.
Yes,
Okay.
I agree with you, Dr. Saab, that 3-MCPD is the 3-monochloropropanediol, and G for the glycidyl fatty acid esters. These are known as the contaminants of the fat or the oils. And we are just here concerned about the trans fatty acids that are produced by their transition in the bond. We are not just discussing about these contaminants.
So there's another question for Ms. Farah and Dr. Tahira for the food authorities, that why don't you people ban the specific brands if it is found some malpractices?
Okay, we are already much popular in taking stringent decisions.
All the food authorities take action, see or observe any malpractices by the
Ms. Farah,
so
please.
ban is not there. Hello, am I audible?
Ms. Farah, if you could explain it first, then Dr. Tahira, you could, further explain.
All right, thank you so much, Fatima. Okay, I was saying that we are already famous in taking stringent decisions, but we need to take into consideration the both sides, the public health as well as the industry. In case if any product is not in compliance with law, it doesn't mean that it should be banned or it should be sort of confiscated or de-shelved from the market. We take specific penal actions as per the non-compliance is concerned. We already have over SOPs in place. For example, if there is a quality issue, we find the processor. In case if there is a safety issue, we confiscate the product and then it is discarded in the environmental friendly manners. Again, we issue warning notices, we issue improvement notices, we issue emergency prohibition order to the processor, but it doesn't mean that the product should be banned. Yes, we ban the products in case if it is counterfeit, in case if it possesses the serious health or the safety concern, then in that case, we generally ban the products, just like we banned the PHO. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Tahira, please.
Thank you, Fatma. And I second the Ms. Farah, as she said that all the authorities have the powers. We don't want to ban the industry, as we have to make the corrections. We just take the action when we saw any malpractices. We have the power to seal the line. We just confiscate the whole batch from the market, from the industry, and we can discard them. So our main focus is to make corrections. We ban the products in the case if they are, as she said, counterfeit or adulterated even. We can discard them.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tahira. There's another comment. Questions and comments are coming. I personally think the local road vendors who are reusing oils on daily basis are adding more to the problem than industrial trans fats. What are the strategies for local vendors?
Okay, let me answer this question if you allow me.
Please, please.
I have already explained in my presentation that we try to limit trans fatty acid in it as well. We have correlated it with the total polar compounds, and the set limit for it is 24, which is quite stringent. Only 2 to 3 countries in the world are having this limit of total polar compounds. And our food safety teams have handy equipments with them. And whenever they inspect a specific area, they always go to the local vendors and check the cooking oil with that equipment and initiate penal action as per requirement of the situation. Further, one important initiative that PFA has taken is the consumption of used cooking oil into biodiesel production. According to our regulation, the used cooking oil should be converted into the biodiesel instead of any other product, instead of being used again in the food supply chain.
Thank you so much, Ms. Farah. I guess there are no more questions for now because I don't see any questions as of now. There's another question. Do oil industries possesses lab capacities to effectively determine the contaminants in oil, and what tests are currently being used?
End product, and we always try to test the product as per specifications that are mentioned in the standards. And of course, contaminants are there in the standards. They are regulated.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I guess there are no more questions as of now. As we draw our session to a close, it is my privilege to invite Dr. Waqar Ahmed to deliver the closing remarks. We look forward to your summary and reflections on our deliberations. The floor is all yours, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Fatma. Let me start by really extending my gratitude to our esteemed partners, Cargill and Ministry of Food Security and Research. They have been invaluable partners. I think in designing this training session, their inputs have been really important. Let me also join our invitees and participants to express my sincere appreciation to our distinguished speakers. This included Dr. Razia, Dr. Tahira from Islamabad Food Authority, Dr. Ghufran from University of Karachi, Dr. Farah from the Punjab Food Authority, Dr. Ghulam Hussain from Punjab Oil Mills, and of course, colleagues who have contributed their knowledge during the chat and the Q&A session. So I think it is with your expertise and insights that have truly enriched our discussions and provided us with the knowledge that our participants have. I think I would also like to appreciate here STPI's team led by Fatima Muzammil, and this team included Asma Ilahi and Yahya Gulrez. Our advocacy and outreach team also deserves appreciation, as they've been trying to engage with relevant stakeholders, media outfits, really getting the message out there. Part of our responsibility is also change of communication here, behavioral change, which can serve the consumers better. Now, throughout the duration of this course, of course, we have focused into crucial topics surrounding the reduction of ITFA. So from understanding the sources of health risks associated with DFAs to exploring national as well as international regulations and the DFA alternatives and reformulation strategies. We've also tried to offer to our participants a wide spectrum of essential information that can go a long way in designing their own strategies at work, particularly those coming from the private sector and small businesses. Our discussion on regulatory framework and compliance shed light on the importance of adhering to these standards, especially when it comes to the health and well-being of domestic consumers, as well as when we are trying to export our food products, where we are, particularly in the advanced markets, we are confronted by much more sophisticated rules with regards to TFA. Now, as we look ahead, it is essential to reflect on the next steps following this training for both the partners on the side of small and medium enterprises, their business associations, but as well as regards the government institutions. So for the SMEs, implementing the knowledge which has been gained here today, and embedding this knowledge into their practices is important. And by adopting the DFA-free alternatives and reformulation strategies, we are hoping that SMEs can contribute to healthier food options for consumers and align themselves with evolving regulatory standards. And they should take pride in doing so, while, of course, they brand themselves. As regard the government institutions, we must continue to provide, of course, relevant support that they require to ensure compliance, as well as align or help the private sector to come up with the international, or at least the regionally recognized or known standards, which keep us competitive, which keep our consumers in line with the best health practices. In the coming days, we also aim to pass on this learning, as well as the modules developed as part of these trainings, to the associations of food sector, chambers of commerce, and other relevant bodies who have their own R&D cells, such as the FPCCI and Pakistan Business Council. We are aiming to hand over these modules which have been developed by STPI and MNFSR. So in closing, I once again thank all our partners and really urge all of us to remain committed to this cause, and we'll keep you posted with our next steps and as per the advice that we receive from the Ministry of National Food Security and Research. Thank you once again, and back to you, Fatima and Yahya. You may be on mute if you're trying to speak.
So, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Waqar, for your closing remarks. Thank you, Ms. Farah, Dr. Tahira, Dr. Ghulam, Mr. Salman, and Team Kargil. Thank you everyone for joining us. If you have any questions, the email IDs, I'm writing down the email ID in comment section. You may send your questions there. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.